Yay Media Group.
What's up, everybody? This is Cornelius, back again. Another episode of This is Life with Heather and Cornelius. If you have not already, make sure you listen to the last 2 weeks. I actually go through my newest book, I Don't Care, The Freedom of Letting Go, which is currently available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. It's on Kindle, it's on Audible, it's on Apple Books, it's on, you can get the hard copy, the hardback copy, you get the soft copy, every version you can think of. I mean, it's out there. Just go where books are sold and you can grab the book. You can also go to my website, CorneliusLindsay.com. Make sure you go to my website and you can actually, every order that comes off my website, CorneliusLindsay.com, I will autograph for you. It takes a little bit longer for you to get it because of production, but nevertheless, I'm just super thankful because, you know, the demand has been high. So that's a good thing, and it's cool. But the last 2 weeks, I've been just kind of going through the book, just talking about different things throughout it, giving you kind of back history on some things about why I wrote different things in the book, and prayerfully it helps you. So today I'm actually going out of chapter 7. I have a chapter in here. Chapter 7 is called The Reckoning, Rebuilding, or Wondering. And the reason why I chose this title is because the chapter before this, chapter 6, is about, you know, enough and the lie of not enough and stuff like that. But also talk about like burning the bridge. Like you need to get into a rhythm of recognizing, okay, what are my values so I can burn a bridge. But I want to make sure I'm burning the right bridge, because sometimes we burn the wrong bridges, because you may feel a certain way now that you wake up from 5 years from now and be like, I probably shouldn't have burned that, but you burned it. And this is like identify, okay, this is where my values are. And now, since I've identified my values, now I can then identify my boundaries, because your boundaries are for you. And then I can also identify my rules, and my rules are for everybody else. So you identify these things, and it helps you to move forward. So I talk about that. And I also talk about not blowing up your life, because you don't want to blow up your life. I do not want you to blow up your life. And it's so easy when you think I don't care to become so apathetic that you just kind of blow up everything. And that's not what I'm getting at all. We're talking about the weight of the reckoning. So I'm going to, I'm just going to start at page 95. The subtitle is My Reckoning, the Ashes of 2021. And I'm going to read page 96, 97, 98, and go to the top of 99. Let's do it. My Reckoning, the Ashes of 2021. I hit my reckoning in 2021 after resigning from the church I'd poured my soul into for 12 years. I'd preached globally, published books, built a community, but it wasn't enough. Burnout and betrayal left me hollow. I swore off ministry, walked away, and drifted. For 5 years, I was a ghost, scrolling social media, numbing out, questioning if my life had peaked. Friends landed book deals, bought investment properties. I was stuck, staring at ashes of a bridge I'd torched. One night, alone on my back porch, the weight hit. I wasn't just aimless, I was choosing it. That was my pig pen. I could stay, or I could rebuild. I chose the latter, scribbling a new goal on a napkin: write this book. It wasn't a feast, but it was a start. You're at the same crossroad. Maybe you're reading this because despair's got you by the throat, or maybe you're just tired of drifting. Either way, you're not here by accident. The reckoning is your spark, a chance to care again, to build something new. But sparks fade fast. You've got to act. The weight of the reckoning. Are you ready for this? Oh my goodness, because I'm getting emotional even looking at it. The reckoning isn't a clean cinematic epiphany. It's not a tidy turning point with violins swelling in the background. It's a weight, a slow building, mind-bending pressure that pulls at the fabric of your soul. It's cognitive dissonance. The mental, emotional, and spiritual agony of holding two truths that violently contradict each other. You believe in freedom, but you're chained to a desk. You preach purpose, but you're buried in obligations that have nothing to do with it. You value authenticity, but every day you wear a mask that fits someone else's expectations better than your own reflection. Picture staying in a soul-crushing job because the paycheck keeps the lights on. You despise the environment, dread the mornings, feel the slow erosion of your creativity, but the rent won't pay itself. That's the dissonance. Your values and your reality are at war. And when the tension becomes unbearable, many of us do what feels like the only sane option. We burn the bridge. You quit. You walk out. You say, I'm done. You taste freedom, but it's bitter. No job, no savings, rent still due. The ashes of that burned bridge whisper mockingly, was that brave or just foolish? Because here's what it demands: resolution. And clarity is the only antidote. Define your values. What truly matters to you? Is security worth more than freedom? Do you value money over time or time over money? When you get honest about what you can no longer tolerate and what you're truly willing to sacrifice, the fog begins to lift. Then there's autonomy. That sacred hunger to control your life, to reclaim your narrative, to stop being moved by other people's expectations and start living from within. Burning a bridge can feel like liberation, breaking the chains that have kept you stuck in the story others wrote for you. In 2022, I cut ties with a longtime friend whose relationship had become emotionally toxic. Every interaction felt like I was giving more of myself than I had. Saying no wasn't petty. It was sacred. It was my roar, my caged lion breaking the lock. But autonomy comes with its own paradox. Freedom is glorious until it turns into paralysis. Without purpose, freedom becomes a void. You wake up with no obligations, no expectations, but also no structure and no direction. And in that silence, apathy starts to whisper, I don't care. And that whisper feels safe at first. It's like armor, like insulation from the disappointment, the pressure, the performance. But unchecked, it isolates you. Autonomy, unanchored from purpose, doesn't set you free. It leaves you floating. Eventually, you realize autonomy is healthiest not when it's rooted in rebellion, but in calling. In alignment with God's plan. Autonomy isn't about rejecting authority. It's about stewarding your choices with conviction. And then comes the existential crisis, the what's the point season. It's even more of this. It's deeper than autonomy. This is where the ground starts to fall out from under you. You question everything. Your career, your faith, your marriage, your identity. If ministry doesn't satisfy, if family doesn't fulfill, if success feels hollow, then what does? This is where nihilism sneaks in. The lie that nothing matters. That maybe the only real move left is to torch it all. Marriage, burn it. Faith, deconstruct it to rubble. Career, walk away. And might I add, give them a middle finger on the way out. Friends, cut them off. Dreams, toss them in the fire and find something more real. I know that temptation well. I flirted with it in my aimless years. When everything felt fake, forced, and empty. I wanted to torch the whole thing just to feel something true. But nihilism is a seductive mirage. It promises freedom, but it leaves you desolate. It doesn't rebuild, it erases. Ecclesiastes 1:2 says it plainly. Meaningless, a chasing after the wind. That's what nihilism amounts to. It's wind chasing. You run hard and fast toward nothing and wonder why your soul still starves. The reckoning demands you reject the lie that nothing matters and dare to create meaning, even in the mundane. Even when you're broke, even when you're unsure, even when nothing makes sense. Meaning is not something you find out there. It's something you build brick by brick, small, sacred, sometimes painful steps. The reckoning isn't a moment. It's a process. And in that process, bridges will burn. Some will need to. Some you'll regret. Some will light the path to freedom, but in every flame, there's an invitation to define your values, to choose purpose over panic, to build meaning even in the ashes, your new garden. Because even in the tension, even in the not enough, you are still being shaped. And that, my friend, matters. I think all of us, at some point in our lives, and some of you may be in it right now, you find yourself in a reckoning. It could be a bridge that you have burned because you kind of got into nihilism, which is just like, just kind of burn it all down. I mean, because sometimes life can just become so frustrating. You're just like, screw it all. Just who cares? And I have met, as somebody who pastored for over a decade, I met so many people who found themselves in that situation. They're just like, just screw it. I've sat down with husbands who walked away from their family. I had one guy, he said he was going to the gym and he never went back home. He left his wife and their 3 kids at home and he never went back. And even when I sat down with him and I asked him, would you ever go back? At that point, it was the shame of his actions that kept him from going back, constantly thinking, what will my kids think of me? My wife has divorced me. I know she hates me. I haven't even spoken to them in years. Like, what would I say? What would I do? And it's in that place, that's the place where I refer to as the reckoning. It is that place for, for the community leaders or for the pastor, or for the politician who sits back and says, man, I just went through something and I just kind of burned the bridge. Where do I go from here? We all talk about transitioning and what transitioning looks like, or finding something new, going into a new occupation or doing something else. But transition can be difficult because it does mean that I have to walk away from one thing in order to walk into something else. I have sat down with people from the military who have been discharged from the military, either honorably or dishonorably. They received a discharge from the military, and now they're out of the military, and now they look and now they're saying, how do I integrate back into civilian life? I've talked to professional athletes who played, professional football, professional basketball, professional soccer. And we sit down. As a coach, I sit down with these individuals and we talk about their lives, and they're just like, I don't know what to do at this point. I talked to one guy, he played professional football for 9 years. He said before he played professional football, he said he started playing football when he was 9 years old. He started playing flag football at 9 years old. He said, Cornelius, football is all I know. He said, I just remember playing football. That's all I did. I played football. He said, when I got old enough, I started going to the gym. I started training. He said, my parents, they got me coaches. They got me people. I had private coaching. He said, every day was football. I was watching football. I was going to football games. Everything was football. He said, then I finally made it to the highest point of this thing. He said, now I'm being drafted and now I'm getting the money and now it's all happening and now everything is there and now I'm injured. And now I can't play football anymore because I've been cut. And I don't know what to do because everything around my life was football. He said, what do I do now? A couple of my buddies kind of went into accounting. They joined these, they usually join like these hedge fund firms, which is so ingenious on the hedge funds part because they're not necessarily, they're getting these guys because they're like, well, if I get you, maybe I can get, 7 or 9 of your friends who just got a $11 million contract and maybe you can convince your friends to come over here and bring their money. So it's like, of course, if I was the CEO of a bank, I'd be like, go after retired football players and get them because then they can get the younger ones because they'll believe them and off a relationship, they can build it. They'll bring all their money over here to my bank. I would do it too. So it makes perfect sense. But it's like, what do? Do I go golfing all day? I still have to make more money and Like I have all these bills. I still have these houses I got to take care of. I have these cars. I have all this stuff. I still have a family. Like, what do I do from this point? Do I start a new business? Do I go get a job? Like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And that's that point. He sits in that reckoning where you look at what was and you have to grieve what was. And for me, I had to grieve when I walked away from pastoring. I had to take time to grieve that. To grieve, you think for over a decade, getting off a stage, before I got on the stage, I would stay in the lobby and greet everybody as they came in. And then I go sit on the stage. And, I have hundreds, sometimes thousands of people were sitting in front of me. And I'm the person they're listening to. And then I get off the stage and I'm in the lobby and I'm greeting the people as they're going home, as they're leaving. And I'm doing that for multiple services, sometimes multiple days, sometimes conferences, signing books for 4 hours. And you go from that to Sunday mornings come and I don't have anything to do today. My wife looks at me and says, what do you want to do today? And I said, I don't know. And I don't want to tell her, like, I'm still grieving the fact that for over a decade I had something to do. And now I don't have anything to do anymore. And you begin to question, like, who am I? Like, is that it? Was that the height of my life? Like, was that all? Like, God, was that kind of everything I was going to do? Am I still doing anything? Am I still worth anything? Like, where do I go from here? And you just don't know. And that's where the reckoning happens. So the part of the I don't care mentality is, again, it's not apathy. It's not complete. Like I write about nihilism in here and not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and just burn it all down, but it is recognizing where I'm at. And one of the parts that I read was identifying, okay, what are my values? What's important to me? You may say, well, Cornelius, I did that 10 years ago. Yeah, but you're a different person now. What are my values? What's important to me? How do I move forward? Because I don't know. I don't know how to move forward. I want to move forward, but I don't know how to move forward. And you will never be able to find like a true north of where you're going and have true direction until you identify what is important to you. I'm telling you, identifying your values is so important because identifying your values also helps you to identify who you are as an individual. Because you say, these are the 5 or 6 or 7 things that are important to me. You've identified those things. And that is so vital. Like, that is so important. And you have to lean into that. You have to really understand that. And I want that to be a part of like who you are and what you believe. And you may be sitting in that place right now where you're like, Cornelius, I'm sitting in that place of reckoning. What do I do? You have to identify, what are your values? What's important to me now? You have to feel the feelings without becoming them. And I know that can be difficult. That can be extremely hard to sit down and say, okay, well, this is what I feel, but what I feel is outside of the scope of what's going on. And you got to take that time. You have to feel them. You got to grieve what was, because it's gone. It's gone. I had a really good friend who sat down with me over a fire. And he looked and he said, and out of the blue, we're just kind of sitting there and over fire. And we weren't even having, nobody was conversing, nobody was talking, nobody was saying, it was complete silence, out of the blue. We weren't even talking about marriage. He said, one of my greatest regrets is that I did not work on my first marriage. And I'm sitting there looking at the other guys like, where the heck that come from? And I just see the tears well up in his eyes. Now he's remarried, he's moved on, he has kids. I mean, great. But he said, one of my greatest regrets is that I didn't try enough. So I wish I would have tried more. And his ex-wife is remarried and she's moved on and all those things. And so now the bridge is gone. But one thing I've learned about ashes that I actually write about in this book is that ashes can be a reminder of what was burned, or, here's the big or, it can be a garden to plant a new vision. And if it's only a reminder of what was, then that can bring you a severe sense of depression because you're constantly just reminded of what you could have had. But if you use the ashes as a garden, then it could be a new beginning. And I'm just encouraging you to have a new beginning. I finished talking about that new beginning in this book, I Don't Care. The Freedom of Letting Go. Make sure you grab it today. See y'all later.
Yay Media Group.